Hello, everybody, and welcome to another extra bonus episode of the Coffee House Podcast. I am here in terms of hosts. I am the lone host, but I am joined once again by the artistic director of the Pine Street Players, Mrs. Lexi Meunier.
Hello, thank you for having me back.
I know we wanted that. Like it was, I was very pleased with the response to the first interview, and that being just general directing advice and whatnot. It was very pleasing to see people responding and people watching and people giving compliments to your work. So
Great.
now we are here to kind of go a little bit more in depth with the current performance and the upcoming stuff. So I guess we can just kind of get right into it.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
So the last time I had interviewed you was about a month prior to Peter Wendy.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being like the first live streamed performance, how did that go, that experience? Did you think was it a smooth transition?
So technically, like logistically, smooth as silk. I was so pleased with the process of live streaming, and thankfully we're so grateful to be housed by Christ Church, who had made the investment of these this camera system and this computer system for their own services, their church services, and they so graciously said, do you guys want to use these for your upcoming shows? And we really would have had to cancel otherwise, or do a fully zoomed show. So being able to have a show with all of you guys on stage together, not having an audience, obviously, and needing to kind of keep that social distancing in mind, wearing the masks during the performances were all kind of things that we were more than willing to do if it meant everybody would be together, creating and making art. From a theatrical standpoint, I think it was a great show. I love that script so much. I think you guys took to it really well. I'm really proud of the concept that we kind of arrived at with this idea of a found set and a found story, and relating it back to what you guys were going through at the time as artists in the middle of a pandemic. I think it was the absolute perfect piece for that. And then emotionally, it was a really interesting experience because we hadn't seen each other in so long. What we had seen of each other was all Zoom. It was all, over the internet. And when we all came back together, I don't think any of us were fully present because we hadn't needed to be for so long.
Right.
And everybody had kind of regressed, and it wasn't that like huge, burst of energy that it normally is when we get together to work and create. And then on top of that, we were dealing with a new style. We decided to incorporate the viewpoints approach to creating theater, which was a new technique and a new set of tools for everybody to learn. So I think that we had a lot of challenges to overcome, but because of all that, I am so proud of the way it turned out. I am so proud of the way everybody invested in it, and the way that you guys showed up and said, this is uncomfortable in a lot of ways. We're outside, we're wearing masks, we're doing a new type of show. We're doing it with a new style that we've never done before, but we're doing it and we're here.
Right.
And I'm so proud of that show. And again, I think in terms of production value, it was beautiful. I think that show was gorgeous. The ending moment of that show is just one of the best in
like a staple.
PSP histories. Oh yeah.
And then this upcoming performance, Sea Rock City and Other Destinations. For those of you listening, that is the spring musical that is going to be pre-recorded. Would you like to give like a sort of synopsis to that story?
Yeah. Well, to like the 6 stories in one that is that show, but we knew we wanted to do something small. So Sea Rock City is a very, very small cast musical, and it is actually 6, I think, stories in one, and each story takes place in a different part of the country, and it deals with like 1 to 3 people, mostly 2 people, at a time, and they all have a similar theme, most of which you guys identified during our read-through when we all kind of read through the script for the first time, and we said, okay, what do these stories have in common? What's our through line? Things like the journey being more important than the destination, figuring out what it is to be ready for something, family, meaning, I mean either biological family or kind of the chosen family that you make with your friends, and finding out who you are and what your identity is outside of that family, and then saying goodbye to things and kind of starting new journeys. So each of the stories hits on one or more of those themes. Do you want me to give like a little baby synopsis of each story?
Yeah.
Is that a lot?
It just kind of gives a little bit of a glimpse of, if people want to watch, it gives them,
So the first one, the one that we open up on, is a young guy who is a traveler. He lives in his car, and he stops at a diner kind of en route to his next destination and makes acquaintances with this waitress, this kind of quirky waitress, and she ends up grabbing a duffel bag and getting in his car with him and deciding that she's going to make the next leg of his journey with him, and they learn about each other that way. We have sisters who are all grieving the loss of their father and are dealing with that loss in very different ways, and have kind of come together to go on one final trip to say their ultimate goodbyes to him. We have a young woman who is about to get married. It is her wedding day. This is the one that Nick is featured in. He plays our bride, and no, he doesn't. She's about to get married, and she's having second thoughts, and she meets somebody that helps her work through that or not work through that, as the case may be. We have somebody out in a field waiting for aliens to come, and they have lost their job and their girlfriend and their friends, and kind of all of the prospects of anything other than believing that these aliens are going to come down, and make that all worth it. We have a woman who is taking care of her grandfather, who is nonverbal, and she's kind of dedicated her life to him, and as they are going about their time together, somebody else comes in and kind of opens her eyes to the possibility of more happening in her life. We have 2 school kids who are ditching school at the end of their senior year. I don't know if that sounds familiar to anybody. But they are done with school, and they decide to kind of spend the day at Coney Island together, and have a lot of moments that kind of test their friendship and define their friendship and open their friendship up to new things. Oh, I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. They would be so upset with me. Is that all of our stories? I think that's 6, right? We hit Rock City, Coney Island, Glacier Bay, the Alamo, the Coordinates, and Niagara Falls. That's 6.
Perfect.
We got them all. So yeah, it's very, very cool. One thing that I love about it so much is that obviously you can understand that with 6 stories, none of them are particularly lengthy. So it's, in the time it takes to do a full musical, you're dividing that by 6. So this script packs so much story and characterization and arc into these quick little snippets, really. And you guys have obviously done such a beautiful job of your text analysis and shaping these characters and really fleshing them out into 3-dimensional human beings, even with, 6 pages of text or whatever to work with. And the music's great. There's like different styles depending on where they are in the country. And I just think it's a great show. I think it's a little hidden gem that not a lot of people know about.
Sort of to branch off of that, where did the decision to do this musical come from?
All right, so we thought we were going to have to cancel the spring musical because of the pandemic, because we are just not at a place where people can sing together again. So we were going to do another play, which, you know, right up my alley. I wouldn't have had any complaints, except for the fact that we had such a huge graduating class, and so many of you guys have been here from the beginning, and you are all such I say gifted vocalists. You're not good at singing. You're not, you know, talented. You are gifted. You guys are all touched. It's unbelievable. And we said we can't have them never sing together again. That was crazy to us. So then we said, okay, so what would need to happen in order for that to be safe? And we said we would need to pre-record all the vocals. And obviously with a, you know, 20, 25, 30 person musical, that's a big undertaking. So that's when we said, well, what if we did it with only the seniors? We were only dealing with, you know, a dozen or so kids. And that would give us time to pre-record all the vocals and do everything we wanted to do. So that was how we arrived at the first decision of it only being for the seniors, is that you guys needed to sing together again, and we were going to make it happen. So then from there, we said, all right, so it needs to be a tiny, tiny musical for only this many kids. And we wanted it to be pretty equal. You know, we didn't want there to be any real leads. And we didn't want there to be any real small roles that anybody could get, you know, screwed with. So we said we'll do a song cycle. So we started looking at song cycles, and then, you know, as the name suggests, with the song cycle, there's no script, there's no book. So I was bummed out because I said, oh, that's kind of like, you know, like a cabaret or a senior showcase, which is fine. That would have been great. And I know a lot of schools are kind of like going in that direction right now because of the circumstances. But I really wanted to create a world with you guys again. And I wanted us to be able to act and really tell a story. So we actually had another show in mind, that we were, you know, ready to pull the trigger on, that would have been more of a song cycle and didn't have much of a script. And then I'm driving one day, and as you know, I am obsessed with Jeremy Jordan. He is the greatest male Broadway performer on Broadway right now. And I was listening to his Spotify playlist in the car, and I had heard 1,000 times him sing this a cappella version of this song called Sea Rock City, and I had never, for whatever reason, taken the time to go, what show is this from? Like, I've never heard him do anything else from the show. What is this? So I look it up, and it's from this show called Sea Rock City and Other Destinations, and lo and behold, it is a small cast musical with only, you know, maximum 3 people singing together at a time, with a book, with a script that told stories and really did everything we wanted it to do. And then on top of all that, the themes are so perfect for a group of graduating high schoolers. This idea of, you know, going on journeys and finding yourself and saying goodbye to things and figuring out who you are. We were like, well, that's it. It's perfect. And thankfully it was good. Like, it's actually, the music is great. The script is really lovely. I've cried in multiple rehearsals because you guys you're bringing such honest work to these characters. And it was just kind of fate. God was like, hey, did you listen to Jeremy Jordan lately? And I was like, oh, you're right, I miss him. And here we are. We found it.
So with this being something that's going to be pre-recorded, how have, you know, the plans been looking into that? Is that like, you know, are we prepared? Is there, you know, like...
What would you do if I was like, well, it's funny you should ask, Nick. Everything is falling apart. No, knock on everything. We are fully ready to go. The lovely and talented and just unbelievably giving Jodie Palermo built us a little mini sound booth over there right now. I know you haven't seen it yet. Abby and Maddie saw it today. I gave them a little sneak peek. But you guys have like a full sound booth with like professional mics. You got your headphones ready. We're like good to go on our vocals. The video recording is ready to go. We're fully prepared on that end. And you guys are ready to go. It's been a very unique, and you can speak to this too, but it's been a unique rehearsal experience in the sense that because the show is split up the way it is, you guys haven't seen much of each other. You've seen like your scene partner. And it's gone so quickly because we're seeing you guys, one pair once a week.
Yeah.
And that's been the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's almost ready.
Yeah, and even though this is a small cast, this is a very collaborative production team with a lot of different past music directors, choreographers, and the like coming together. That idea of having everyone, collaborate, where did that come from?
So this is so funny. We like to contract people out kind of at the very beginning of the season. So once we decide what shows we're doing and we get the dates in the calendar, then we hire whoever we want to work on the shows so that we know that we are fully staffed for the year. And because we didn't think we were doing a spring musical, we hadn't approached anybody for spring. We were going to do Hunchback, and then that I was going to say fell apart. That's so dramatic.
The bell fell.
We were going to do Hunchback, and then we realized that we couldn't because COVID was not, COVID was here to stay for a moment in time. So we had let go of that production team and whatever. So when we decided pretty last minute, like we basically went from we're doing Hunchback, no we're not, we're doing a play, no we're not, we're doing a musical, but it's a different type of musical. We just put out the feelers to everybody that we work with and said, okay, surprise, it is going to be a musical. Who wants in? And all of them said, oh, it's for the seniors. Like, I have to come back. I have to have my last show with them. Everybody wanted to be back with you guys. So yeah, and then because we were going to be rehearsing people in such small groups, we thought it would be cool if every group or like almost every group had their own little mini production team. So you all got stuck with me. I'm the only director, but but then you guys all have your little mini music directors, which I think has been cool that everybody gets to, say that they sent the seniors off, which I think is so lovely. I don't know. What is your experience been?
I mean, I think with it being a fully, it's like that epic, ending. It's like everybody's coming back, like that Avengers Endgame moment where like everybody comes in,
Yep.
So
we assembled.
Yeah, it's a fantastic, thing. Kind of being able to like, I haven't seen Susie since,
I know.
Technically since Peter Wendy when she showed up for that one rehearsal. But aside from that, I hadn't seen her since like either Fame or Little Women.
Yep.
So it was like it's nice being able to see, not only just people we haven't seen in a while, but just everybody coming together, creating, putting all their ideas on the table, and collaborating. So on top of that, with back to this being the senior production, with this being a senior only musical, do you think this rehearsal process has been better than with like regular cast, or smoother or whatnot?
How much do you want me to be like, oh, I'm never going back?
Like,
it's only you guys forever.
I don't want to say better because it's like, did all the other groups suck? It's like,
no, I would never qualify it as better because I miss nothing more, and we're getting so close, guys. It's like right around the corner. But I miss nothing more than like a full 45 student ensemble rehearsal with like all of that energy and all of that sound and all of that collaboration and just like living together in the space. I miss that more than I can say. But this has been very special and very different and very unique in the sense that we have never done this with just seniors before. We might never do it again. This is a really odd circumstance where we like really had to make something happen. None of us were willing to say like, all right, well they'll do, our town or whatever, and like we'll be done. You guys had to do a musical again. It's just kind of, you know, it's what you guys do, and it's what you guys were meant to do. So we did it. So I would not say that it is better, but it's really cool to see you guys in an environment where we can talk to you, you know, pretty much like adults, and we can have, you know, conversations and use techniques that you guys are already aware of and have been using and know how to use. You know, we can draw pretty mature and layered and kind of elevated connections to things, and you guys are just operating on a different level, which you should be as the oldest kids. And you know, our younger performers watch you and they learn that, and then they become the oldest kids, and the younger performers watch them, and it's all a cycle. So they'll all get to where you are, but where you are is so special, and it's just been a very cool experience to get to treat you guys like, you know, peers and like collaborators, and, you know, give you ownership of something, and watch you put 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, however long you guys have been here, put that theory into practice. Take everything that we always said you guys were going to be able to go off in the world and use it here together with each other. So I think it's really cool. I think it's a really unique experience, and we're so lucky that everybody signed on for it. Every single senior came back. So there's 13 of you. 13 of you! I don't even know what to say about that.
Lucky number 13.
Ugh.
And for those of you listening that want to kind of look more into the cast, you can check out the Instagram or Facebook page for the Pine Street Players, and there's a every Monday and Friday a post uploaded to see kind of showcase one of the seniors, gives, you know, a nice little memory, how many shows they've been in, and of course a picture of them. So
and that we will continue to do. I can't promise that every future senior is getting their own musical, but we will continue to do the senior spotlights, because I think that that's something that has just been nice to kind of let our community know that you guys are being sent off.
I think it's convenient too, because then people are like, oh, I thought you were a junior. But on top of that, in terms of where people can see Rock City, where, if you want to speak on like where they can find it, and
yes, so tickets are going to go on sale May 1st, and we open May 14th. The show is May 14th, 15th, and 16th. So as of May 1st, you will be able to go on our website, which is pinestreetplayerscc.com. All of the information will be there for you. But of course, if you want to give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram, you'll know all that stuff before it even happens, because we'll keep you in the loop. So let us, and we're trying to get better about our social media, and by us, I mean I'm trying to get better about my social media use. So we have some cool posts coming up, and we'll give you guys all the information you need.
Yeah, I can kind of, you know, not to get too much into me, I can relate with the whole social media thing. I find something cool, I post about it, and then we don't post for another like week or two.
I know. I know. Social media stresses me out working with kids, because I think it's this weird thing where you guys feel, and I don't want to tell you how you feel, but this is how it seems to me. You can tell me if I'm completely off base. It feels like you guys need to like create a brand for yourself and like stay on brand and post enough so that people know about your brand. And you guys are not products. You're humans, and you're special, and you're about more than, you know, who can take the cutest Insta photo.
Yeah.
And so social media, I am not.
It's just hard to be consistent.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, so I don't really know how to use it well, but I'm working on it.
Look, I'm part of the generation that uses it, and I don't know how to use it.
Okay, good. That makes me feel better. I'm going to be 30 in a couple months, and I think that officially gives me an excuse to be like, I don't know, I'm too old. I'm too old for social media.
Yeah, it's, it was funny too, because I found a really nice quote in a book that I read. I was about to post it. It was all nice. And I typed out this whole paragraph about how what the quote meant. It was from a book called Directing Actors. So it kind of gives a nice view into like the director point of view as an actor, what you should pay attention to. It's great. Cute quote. Typed out a whole paragraph of what it meant to me. As soon as I was about to post, I said, delete. It was like, it didn't sound good. I was like second guessing myself.
This is what I mean.
And it's that fear too of like, oh, I'm gonna sound weird by saying it. It's but yeah, this was it was nice to get an extra glimpse into the upcoming musical, and we're glad to hear that Peter Wendy went okay, and
it went better than okay. We love Peter Wendy.
This wasn't part of the questions that I was going to ask, but would you consider, still live streaming musicals even when they're in person?
Yeah. So what I think would be really nice to do, because there is a benefit to the live streaming, which is that, family members in other states can see you, and, everybody kind of has like front row access. If they watch it at home, they've got a pretty, clear shot of everything. So there's definitely benefits to it. I think the biggest question right now is obviously all of the tech in order to be able to live stream lives at the church, and we perform, or in normal circumstances, we perform at town hall. So it'll be kind of feeling out, which space works better for which show. But when we do perform in the church, or if we ever chose to perform in a church for the sake of the cameras, I would absolutely live stream anything that we do in the church. I just, I think live theater is so important. But I also think it's important to bring theater to people who wouldn't have access to it otherwise. So I would rather people see, a stream of it than not see it at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's it worked. I mean, being in the church, it worked really well for Peter Wendy. Just being in it, from seeing, obviously I couldn't see the show I was in.
It was good.
Yeah. But that, and I also seeing when you guys did the best Christmas pageant ever this past holiday.
Yeah.
Even though that was pre-recorded, and it was through Zoom and pre-recorded shots.
Yes. So we had we had a mix. I was just going to go off on a tangent, but yes, there was a mix.
You can if you want.
So similar to Sea Rock City, something that's cool about Sea Rock City is that we do have one cast member who can't be in person because she goes to a school that is not allowing kids off campus right now to do off-campus activities. So she's going to be
fully remote.
Yeah, fully remote, and she can still be a part of it. And that was very similar with our Christmas show, is there were kids who either didn't feel comfortable being with us in person, or, unfortunately may have been exposed to a potential COVID exposure and weren't able to come tape. So we just did it over Zoom and we folded it in. And, like I said, I would rather everybody participate and everybody get to be a part of it than not at all. Yeah. And we are so close to everybody being able to be in person. Again, we'll be outside for our next show, which will be lovely. We'll be doing like a Shakespeare in the Park type thing.
I don't know if you want to speak a little bit more on this show in case anyone's interested.
Do you have another hour? So we're going to do a Midsummer Night's Dream, which was going to be our winter show. We typically do Shakespeare in the winter. But after finishing the best Christmas pageant ever, we all kind of said, things are really getting dicey now. We're really getting into the season where, COVID is really going to start spiking. So we decided to push it out to the summer, because how perfect to do a Midsummer Night's Dream in the summer, but also because we could do it outside, which we knew was going to be important. So we are actually erecting a full stage outside. We're bringing our sound equipment outside. And it's just going to be a really lovely venue, a really lovely ambiance. That's not the word I wanted. That's the word that came to mind. That sounds so pretentious. What is atmosphere? Everybody pretend I didn't say ambiance. It's going to be a really lovely atmosphere for that particular show, which is about, fairies and mortals running around the woods together. So we'll do it in the middle of a little clearing in the woods.
And to listeners, you guys, if you guys are just listening to Lexi going on a rampage now with this, during rehearsals, there's like a designated 10-15 minutes of rehearsal where she's like, guys, you won't believe what I just came up with today.
So I get really excited, and I like you guys to know about it because it's your show.
They're
as much
fantastic
as it is
plans.
my show.
But obviously, I can't let you guys in on the juicy bits because you guys need to be able to see it if you can.
It's true.
To let the cat out of the bag is not the same. The actors get the inside scoop,
It's true. Well, I also like to tell you guys a little bit ahead of time so that if anybody just kind of like blinks at me, I know that maybe that's not that's not it. That's not the direction we want to go in. But I love when you guys are as excited as I am, and everything for Midsummer you guys have sounded really stoked about. So
I mean, an outside venue on its own just seems like there's so much more opportunity and like possibility for like different approaches at like acting and all of that, just because it's a different setting, So
and I should mention that we were actually invited to perform a what do I want to call it? Like a revival the following weekend. So Midsummer will perform July 9, 10, and 11. And then the following weekend, the Exeter Arts and Music collaborative, they call themselves Team, is going to be doing their summer festival out on Swayze Parkway. And we have been invited to bring Midsummer there and perform it there as well. So you will have 2 performance weekends, both outside, and both with hopefully a pretty large audience. People love Shakespeare, man, which like is fantastic. But I've done Shakespeare in the park for years and years and years, and there's nothing cooler than like watching somebody walk by and kind of go, oh, what's going on? And then they just come and sit down, and now they're taking in an hour and a half of Shakespeare that they weren't planning on having dropped into their middle of their day. So it's cool. I love outdoor Shakespeare.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this. This is
it's
great to have you back for another interview, and probably expect more for the other upcoming shows.
I hope so.
Again, for those of you listening, you guys can check out Pine Street Players on Facebook. The Pine Street Players at Christ Church is the Facebook page, and then Pine Street Players at Pine Street Players. I think it's _CC on
That's
Instagram.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So Pine Street Players _CC on Instagram. And then pinestreetplayerscc.com for all the inside information for you guys to be up to date on these upcoming performances. And if you live in the sort of New Hampshire, Massachusetts area, and you are, able to come up to either see, or if you want to perform, which is the best case scenario.
Absolutely.
You guys can audition for Midsummer Night's Dream, which is what are those audition dates?
May 22nd and 23rd, and starting this Friday, next Friday, and the Friday after, we will be having workshops for anybody who needs to get to know the plot, get to know the characters, wrap their mouths around Shakespeare for the first time. The goal of those workshops is really to show everybody how accessible Shakespeare is. It's not scary. It's not hard. You came to the Romeo and Juliet workshops last season. What was your takeaway from them?
I mean, honestly, you learn. Like, I didn't know the whole the poeticism of Shakespeare. It was all new to me. Ironically, having read it in, high school, which it's obviously not supposed to be done. But it's, I can attest that, like, if you're going to go to one of these, it's as they say, don't fear Shakespeare. Like, it's That's really right. not like something to shudder about. It's like learning. It's like a new language. It's like learning any language. You're reluctant at first, but you get a lot out of it. So
and once you learn the basics, it's not as scary anymore. Once you get some of those nouns and verbs working for you, it's pretty easy. And this show in particular is just like so fun and so ridiculous. There's fairies running around. There's magic. There's love triangles. There's wars being fought between kings and queens. Two of whom are fairies. Like it's such a cool show. It's so fun. It's just going to be a blast. So everybody, whether you're a huge Shakespeare fan or if you feel like, Shakespeare is not for you, you can't do it. I promise you can. And with this show in particular, the age group can be so wide because we need fairies. We need little baby fairies who would have, one or two lines to say. So if you are a younger performer and are looking to break in some of your classical skills, classical text, we'd love to have you as well.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Lexi. I appreciate this. I hope all of you got a lot out of this interview. And expect more in the coming weeks, as I have a couple more lined up in the coming weeks. So thank you guys for listening, and we hope you'll come again to the coffee house soon.
Bye.